Hello, athletes and fans of bodybuilding. Tarek Gindi with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have the superstar from Germany, Urs Kalecinski. He's been one of the greatest classic physique competitors since the inception of the category. But just recently, he has announced, I'm going to open bodybuilding. He's going to face the likes of Samson Dauda, Hadi Chupin, Derek Lunsford, and Nick Walker. We want to welcome Urs Kalecinski. Thank you, Urs.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on. And it's funny because I think back and to this year's New York Pro Show, and there have been three guys in the backstage named Bob Ciccarillo, Chris Cormier, and Tarek El-Gundi standing in the circuit around me, and they're like, man, you're getting too big. Bob was like, I can see you in the Open this year. And back then it was just like I couldn't see myself there, and time goes on and muscle builds. Now we have decided to do the Open.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into it because it's a really interesting. It was something that Bob and I had discussed many times. And Bob has always been very adamant about having you in the Open. I had my concerns, but we're going to discuss this. I want to introduce Bob Ciccarillo. He's the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia. He's the voice of bodybuilding, and he is the 2000 Mr. USA's. Welcome, Bob.
What's up, Tarek? Chris, always good to see you. And Urs, welcome to the Open, my brother. Your future will be secured in just a few weeks.
Thank you.
And by the way, congratulations with your move to the Open. You've now moved up to being the third most popular bodybuilder in Germany, behind, of course, Markus Ruhl and yours truly.
Well, how about Gunter? I think Gunter has something to say about that.
Nah, listen, Gunter, any of the rest of these guys, he'll tell you, bro, Ashkabab is alive and well in Germany. I'm bigger than Hasselhoff, trust me.
All right.
Yeah, Günther left pretty early, I guess. He moved from Germany, I don't know, at the beginning of his pro career. And the only guys who stayed is like Markus and myself.
I think you need to sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch, exactly, my brother. How is it going over there, Chris? Good to see you. Good to see you, my man.
Hey,
we want to introduce Chris Cormier. Chris Cormier is one of the greatest bodybuilders of all times.
Legend.
He won the USA's in 1993. He won the Ironman Championship 4 times. He was in the Mr. Olympia battling Ronnie Coleman and Flex Wheeler on the first call out in 1999. And he's my co-host on Primetime Muscle. How are you, Chris?
Good. Thanks for having me. Good to be here. It's a good one.
Good. So my first question to you is this, Urs. Bob has always been adamant about you moving to the Open, but I had some concerns, and it wasn't really a concern of you moving to the opening. It was, why would you be leaving the Classic if you've been one of the most successful Classic physique competitors? If we look at the lineup last Mr. Olympia, the top 3 were Chris Bumstead, Mike Sommerfeld, and Urs Kalecinski. Chris Bumstead has since retired, so the top 2 competitors ranked based on the Mr. Olympia would be Mike Sommerfeld and Urs Kalecinski. Now, the coincidence is that you've beaten Mike plenty of times at the Mr. Olympia. So you would be potentially fighting for the title this year if you brought the same package or a little bit more improved. Tell me how it must have been hard to leave a category that you've dominated for so many years.
But listen, guys, we all are bodybuilders from the bottom of our heart, and our job is to body build and not body restrict. So I'm so happy to not just go by scale weight anymore and just create a body, which Chris, the real deal, also can say about it, what I like to see on myself. I don't want to have an empty shell at the Olympia stage and look like I was like not training for 6 months. So Chris was pretty smart with that, Bumstead. He didn't train for like 6-7 months a year, and then just started his preparation for the Olympia, and so he always could go back into his weight limit. But I love bodybuilding and especially training so much that I'm training basically year round. And you know why? Because I love it. And why should I stay in like a comfort zone? We all trained legs like stupid, and we all went out of our comfort zone, and that's basically it with also switching divisions. And I don't want to waste one single year more to do something I don't really like from the bottom of my heart, like not improving, going steps backwards just to stay on the Olympia stage. And I rather start this new chapter now with 27 years old, a fresh body and mind, instead of like destroying myself the other way around and making my brain totally not totally stupid and not loving bodybuilding anymore. Because when you don't go to the gym and train with your full capacities and like the way you want to do, there is no sense to do that stuff, you know. My life is 24/7 bodybuilding, Monday to Sunday. And imagine doing this for getting worse and worse every week and not even looking on your physique, just on the scale in the morning. When you go on the toilet, take your scale weight, and it's not going down, it's just frustrating for you. And you could look like the Mr. Olympia on that day, but it doesn't care because you need to push the weight down. And that's why we decided, my team and I, to pack it on and move in the next chapter of my life.
Bob, you've always been adamant about it. Despite his success in Classic, you've been saying for quite a while, I think the New York Pro was just a display of it, where you recommended Urs to move to the Open. But why, from the beginning, did you think Urs should have been in the Open? What is different about him going to the Open as opposed to some of the other competitors that have been successful in the Open?
Well, much like there's guys in the 212 who can't really move up to the Open, like they're good for the 212, but you know, Keon is a guy who could go to the Open. Hadi, Derek, certainly, it's a guy who's proven he can go from the 212 to the Open. You have to have the base in order to move up. I could see Urs. I've known Urs since the beginning of his career. He's got all the attributes. He's done very well in the short time he's been a pro, and he's been on the Olympia stage. He's been one of the best, like you say. But he's got a very big frame. He's a big boy, 27 years old. He's a 6-footer, but he's very wide, and he's got a lot of room for a lot of muscle. And you could see in the last show or two that you weren't quite seeing Urs at his best because he's got to make that weight for his height, and it's keeping him back. And that's why I said, Urs, you got to consider going to Open, man. You got to let that flower bloom, and you got to just take the governor off. Get in that gym and let your body really explode. His body is young and it's growing. And now you're going to see, and everybody's going to see, what kind of a physique he's really got. Because you've already got the critiques out there of what he's going to look like and what he's going to do and what he has and what he doesn't have. It's like you don't even know what he's got and what he doesn't have because he hasn't even given himself an opportunity yet. And you're going to see that coming up in Italy, where I think you're going to see a much fuller, much bigger, much more muscular guy who that people say, oh my God, like what happened to Urs? Well, Urs just allowed himself to grow. He's not even 30 years old. So good for you, Urs. The right advices were given, and you can see like in these pictures right here. Beautiful structure.
Small over there.
Yeah, listen, great shape, beautiful structure. The structure and the shape and the proportions and the symmetry don't disappear when you go to the Open. If he keeps his waist small, which I have no doubt he's going to do, that's a world-class physique. I tell you who, Chris, tell me if you agree or don't agree, but you know who Urs reminds me a lot is Barry DeMay. back in the day.
It could be. Yeah, I could see that. Hey, so but Urs, I mean, I was never a huge fan of the classic division height and weight cap. I was never really a huge fan of it. I thought it was always not really quite right. But if you remember, Urs was like 22 years old when he was coming onto the scene of the classic division. I believe you were at 22 back in when we were in TJ, right?
Oh, 21.
21.
Yeah.
21. So, but that's just baby muscle as compared to
That's I just wanted to say, sorry to interrupt. You said
Yeah.
me in Mexico. You're like a baby. You're a baby. And I was like, I didn't even know what it is. And then a few years on, like 4
Then you
years
know.
later and 4 Olympias later, I definitely know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Look
So-
at me, I have a beard now.
I know. Didn't recognize you when you came on. I thought that was somebody else.
I just
Chris
had that back
Chris
then.
has T. Michael shirts older than you. Trust me.
So yeah, so now you can see that you can come and show more mature muscularity, and that's going to be a big thing for you. But I think that's going to be a lot of guys in the classic division. They're actually holding their physique back from their full potential as far as muscularity is concerned. So
Yeah, and I'm a pioneer at this.
yeah,
Like one of the top 10 guys from the classic division is moving up to open. That's hella exciting for the whole bodybuilding community, I would say, because besides Chris, who didn't like prepared for an open show, nobody really did that. And I'm seeing myself as a pioneer, and maybe in a few years the open lineup gonna switch completely, because more of those amazing athletes from the classic division take the balls and also do the move I did and
Do the work.
switch to the open.
Urs,
And-
how much do you weigh in the footage we're seeing, and how much are you going to weigh in Italy?
On the footage, my weight is 225, and this morning I had like 262, and I'm stage ready now.
So you're 40 pounds up,
Yeah,
or close to it.
close to it.
Now, Urs, quick question.
Wow.
I did my report on Olympia news that you wouldn't lose your lines. Your lines are going to stay there.
Definitely.
You are one of the best posers in the classic physique. Some people don't know, but you learned a lot of the posing and the angles from your mom, who has a dance artistic background.
Ballerina, yes.
Ballerina. And but what you were saying here is that you're 40 pounds heavier, but we're seeing the same thing, which is the tremendous conditioning that you've had throughout the years. We're not losing any of the conditioning, correct?
Nah. As you guys may know, I worked with Stefan, Boss of Outlaw, on Instagram, and he wouldn't let me go on the stage not peeled. So that's definitely my trademark, and my conditioning's gonna show even better, because now I really got pressure from the muscle to my skin, because those 2 days bringing the body back to life after weigh-ins for the Olympia, that's not enough. I mean, we all can say it. Chris, you know it with Breon, my man.
Right.
There's not enough time to really present the fullest and best look possible. So with that being said, it's gonna look much more different and way more detailed, I would say.
Yes, I was always hoping they would have like an early weigh-in for the classic guys, so to give them like a good 3 days to bring their body back up or something like that. But it was never enough time to really showcase the full potential of the physique. But Urs, I remember you, and I know Boss of Allah does a great job, but a lot of it is the dedication and fortitude that you put forth for the sport, because I mean we're in a healthy place.
Hell yeah.
Weight, and this guy was wanting a certain type of food that they didn't have. They both were healthy, but he didn't want that guy. I needed you needed, what was it, oats, or what was it? What did you
Yeah.
need? Yeah, you needed some other type of carbohydrate. And then you just walked out of the place and went home to eat at home. So I was like, man, this guy, he has what it takes to make a great physique. And also that, even at your heaviest weight, I still saw striations in your quads close up. So that's the, I think all of that's going to do you greatly justice at the open division.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, now I have no boundaries, and I can build my physique up like I want to present it, you know. That was always the worst thing. Like a few weeks out, you see like, wow, that looks really good, and that what I wanted to present on stage, but it was not possible, and that makes yourself depressing as an athlete who loves bodybuilding, you know. I started this with 13 years old because I wanted to get better every year. First of all, I wanted to impress some girls. After a few years, I started competing, and the goals changed over the years. But the only thing what doesn't change is you want to get better as an athlete and also inspire people to get better, and that just wasn't the case anymore.
Urs, when you now that you see your body completely different, you're 40 pounds heavier. Where are we going to see more muscle specifically?
Arms and back.
Arms and legs?
Arms and back.
Arms and back.
So basically, my weak points in classic now became my stronger points because I don't need to like burn them off.
Deplete
Yeah,
it.
because it took a while to really bring them up, but then when you need to cut your weight so hard, it's most likely that those parts fly away at first. And
A quick question here. Let's just hopefully I can go back here. You're hitting your back poses. And first you striate your glutes, and then you open up the quads, right? You have striated here, striated glutes, and then once you hit the pose, you open up kind of like the quads and you change a little bit. Is that a strategy to show the glutes and then open up the quads?
Yeah, because it creates more density from the backside when you shift your hip. And Chris also told me that. I mean, first of all, you can hit the judges with the crispiness of like your hamstring and glute development, and then you push it a little bit back because they saw it already and they know you have it, and then it creates a better shape and balance overall. Because people always forget, like, the back poses are not only the back, it's also the bottom half which matters. And when you have like a flary flared lats to the quads down there, it's just creates a way more aesthetic and overall pleasing look.
Okay. Bob, he's competing in Italy in a few weeks. Is that correct, Urs?
Yes, 2 weeks out.
2 weeks out.
13 days.
I think the lineup came in Sergio Oliva Jr., Mark Hector, Louis Breed, and some of these guys. Bob, you've always been a proponent of him moving to the Open. Do you think this guy wins Italy and goes to the Olympia? If he wins Italy, he breaks the internet. I mean, I know the internet better than anybody. Let me do my Trump impersonation. I know the internet better than anybody. If he wins in Italy, he breaks the internet. For the next 15 days before the Olympia, Urs Kalecinski is the most trending name in the internet. Do you believe that's a possibility that this guy can win his first Open show and break the internet?
Well, let's hope something breaks the internet from the current subject matters, because they've just been beat into the ground and everybody's sick of it. So I am all for it. I would not bet against Urs, and I'm going to give you my prediction right now that it's going to be the battle of the big boys. Interestingly, both guys had to kind of come into their own, fill out their physiques, and realize their true potential. And that's Quint Beastwood, of course, who we're going to see in there as well, and Urs. Urs coming from a slightly different spot in Classic, but same principle. Both guys are big. Both guys are very broad. Beautiful physiques. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Quint Beastwood's also. He finally got his act together, and he's out there training with Samson, so he's got some pretty good guidance going into this show. But Sergio is very formidable. He's going to be good. I saw some other names kicking around in there. Theo Legule is very underrated. That's a guy who can get on the map as well. And a few other names. So you've got real good competition. But Urs has all the attributes to stand there, I think, toe-to-toe with Quint. And my early prediction is that it's going to come down to these two guys. And may the best man win, barring a phone call from Pittsburgh in the middle of the night as to who might win the show. We're going to see by a preponderance of the judging panel who is the best bodybuilder and who makes it to the Olympia stage.
Yeah, I've never received one of those phone calls. I'm going to start a petition to receiving some of those phone calls. Chris Cormier, Urs Kalecinski, you know his physique. I think you were the first one to see him in
Tijuana.
And I remember you telling me these two German guys are going to change the classic physique. Knowing what you know from him, he's now 40 pounds heavier. I can't wait to see him 40 pounds heavier. This is going to be a sight. What's your prediction? Bob believes he's going to be battling out with Quentin Beastwood for the title in Italy. We have Mark Hector. We have Louis Breed. We have Sergio Oliva Jr. What's your prediction, knowing that this guy is going to be 40 pounds heavier?
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I do know you can never go past top three. He's definitely in the top three just by entering. So it's going to be up to, I want to see how they match up with him and let's say Quentin, and let's say Sergio better be there, because if this guy beats both of those two guys, then I think some heads are going to roll when it comes to what are they going to do now? Because this guy is super young, he's super hungry, and I think, like I said, I've seen for firsthand, this is on his mind all the time, is to get better and better. He teamed up sometime with Markus Ruhl, I see sometime, and I was calling, when I started seeing him hitting those crabs, I was like, next to Markus, I was like, that looks like a little baby Ruhl right there. He looks like somebody that's going to, start packing on some mass. So, if he mess around and win this show, man, it's gonna change the whole game of the sport of bodybuilding. I think a lot of the great physiques we have in the sport, people think it's not in they're not competing in open, but a lot of them are in classic that actually can do a lot better and probably do, keep growing in the open division.
Well, guys, for all of you that are watching that are new fans of bodybuilding, I want to give a brief introduction. Markus Ruhl is the most popular bodybuilder from Germany. And in my personal opinion, as a judge, I think he's the freakiest bodybuilder of all times. There has never been a freakier bodybuilder than Markus Ruhl. Bob knows this because he was on stage with him. But
you agree with that?
Yeah.
You can't take anything away. He's a freak. That is for sure.
I want to show you guys, for 2 minutes, exactly who Markus Ruhl was for the young crowd, because you need to go on YouTube and click on this.
Please show him. Please show them the 2002 Night of Champions.
Yes. This is
Markus
Ruhl.
That's one of the first bodybuilding videos I ever saw, by the way.
Look at this. And I had to stand next to this guy. Look at this.
Cartoonish.
Yeah, I got some good shots next to Markus.
The
Arnold Classic. This one has best looks right here, though.
Yeah. Was his best look ever, I think. With the Ramstein music on.
Slowly bringing in the Christmas tree.
Should have showed the comparisons, Tarek.
Look at this.
Look at that. What do you even say to that? I mean, come on. Look at this guy. Crazy.
The side chest now. Like a cartoon.
Beauty and the Beast. I remember it well. Look at the muscle on this guy. Urs, you can do that. Just be prettier.
Yeah. That's what Markus said to me, like.
How do you flex your chest when you're showing your legs?
And I mean, he's huge. I mean, that's Markus' best conditioning. And obviously, in the New York crowd loves.
Look at him getting elegant with it.
Mm-hmm.
Getting elegant
Classic
with it.
Markus.
Okay.
That's insane.
Freak.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, did you see that at the end?
Urs,
Yeah.
talk to us. I think you went to another video. Talk to us about the influence Markus Ruhl has had on you. We've seen videos of you guys working out. You just did a live on Instagram. I tried to watch it, but it was in German.
Yeah.
But when did you meet Markus Ruhl? When was your first time watching this video? Tell us a little bit about the influence he's had on your bodybuilding career.
So like you mentioned before, he is like the only German professional, the German legend who like stayed in Germany. So everybody has big respect for him over here. But after his career, he wasn't too interested in bodybuilding anymore, I would say, because of like family and private stuff and his company, which is selling his protein products and all that kind of business side of things. And then he saw me for the first time, he told me, and then he reached out to me and he's like, hey, let's meet up, let's do something. And we went to this China Imbiss, okay? And he saw me over there. Oh, we met there and we ate together. And he's like, you're like the Markus Ruhl, but 30 years younger than me. I was 20 back then, and I just ate the whole thing. And we had a good talk about bodybuilding and everything, and it clicked from the first second we met. And since then, he's a real mentor for me. He calls me oftentimes. I call him when I have struggles or I want to ask him questions about the business of bodybuilding and also like private stuff, like Brian is for like Chris is for Brian or the other way around, it's more like a friendship I have with him. And yeah, then we trained a few times, and like after Bob from the US and of course Steve Weinberger, which told me like 3 years ago when I stepped into his studio, he looked at me and he was like, you're gonna be an open bodybuilder. And yeah, Steve was also right. So big shout out to Big Steve. And in Germany, it was Markus who said, like, after my first Olympia, yeah, you look great, but you're just the way you train, like with the aggression and with the willpower you have, you don't train like a physique guy. You're made to be an open guy. And I looked at it like, okay, I watched the other guys. I trained with Martin, with Brett Wilkin, with a few guys, Hunter Labrada, and they all had like this similar mindset. And always when I trained with classic guys, I don't want to say they train like pussies, but it was it was just a different thing. And I didn't.
Hey, we trained. You
Yeah.
trained.
And you saw how I trained?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got some,
the guys were gassed out after 3 exercises, and Chris and
easy
I
to,
keep going.
take guidance, and you're looking to improve your mindset and the muscles. So that's
True.
what I saw.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for yours. We see you here training with Markus Ruhl.
Mhm.
Tell us pragmatically what has changed in terms of your training. Are you going extremely heavier now? Tell us about your food intake. What has changed now that you don't have that restriction on your weight?
I wouldn't say a lot of things changed, because why change all the variables when you're doing your job pretty good? And as we all know, what really matters is time in the gym, time like in a calorie surplus, eating more. We just stopped like dieting extremely hard with like 2 hours of cardio and bullshit like this to just making weight, and just put my
Yeah.
body into a fresher state of being. And now we also just reversed my diet, so we up the calories, and now we're cruising into the show, and that's basically the best thing you can do. I do no cardio at all. I pose every morning and after training, and make sure I have really good training sessions, and then I go home and sleep the whole day and eat my meals. But besides that, nothing really changed. And of course, we're looking forward to a productive off season then, which is needed to be like on top of the Open. I believe so. And yeah, the rest is a time thing.
How much are you posing, Urs? on a
I
day?
pose every day.
I know how much.
I do 3 rounds in the morning with 10 seconds hold for now. It adds up to like a 10 to 12 minute like high intensity thing. And then sometimes I just open up the
freestyle.
Olympia 2021 or something from the Open guys, and I just post the whole call out. And then a week out, I stop that. I don't do too much, because my legs hurt a lot from all this posing and flexing, and to really recover from that, a week out, the endurance and everything should be on point. And then we carb up, load into the show, and give the guys and the people of bodybuilding a hell of a show in Italy. And then, of course, a week later, which makes me proud as a German, in Offenbach, the European Pro. And I gonna guarantee you, I mean, Tarek, you're from Brazil. It's I didn't saw a lot comparable to Brazil, but I can promise you now on this live stream, Germany gonna burn the house down at this event.
No, I hear the German fans are very,
gonna
very
be
enthusiastic.
Crazy. That's you're gonna see the videos. And I called Dennis James because I was worried about if he has enough security guards and stuff like this, because the whole place gonna be wild.
Dennis said yesterday, when we taped, that seconds after you announced that you were going to be in the show, he sold like an extra 600 to 800 tickets.
Yeah.
Seconds later.
And they're like hardcore, they bring their vuvuzelas with the German football fans, Tarek. I mean, of course you need to know it. It's a 7-1 Germany to Brazil.
Thank you, Urs. Thank you.
No worries. I remind you all the time.
For guys, I was born in Brazil. I go to Brazil quite often. The Brazilians, when I talked to them, I wasn't in Brazil then. I was in Los Angeles when Brazil lost in Brazil 7-1 to Germany. And Germany went on not only to beat Brazil, but to beat Argentina in the finals. And I talked to all the Brazilians, it's the saddest moment of their lives. It's the
It is.
Some people go that people are not feeling well. They didn't go to work. They didn't go to school because soccer is so important. Football is so important for Brazilians. But I got to give credit. I watched that World Cup, and Germany prepared better than anybody. And my favorite player from Germany was Schweinsteiger.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He was incredible, and he dominated. And I give a lot of credit to the German fans and the German athletes. Germany has had tremendous competitors, not only in bodybuilding with Dennis Wolf, with Markus Ruhl, Urs Kalecinski. I mean, in football, soccer, I mean, Schweinsteiger, Beckenbauer, Jürgen Klinsmann,
Yes.
some of the great strikers came from Germany. It's great to see that bodybuilding is exploding in Germany. And Urs, I said one time on Primetime Muscle, and it was a very controversial thing. Once Chris Bumstead retired, I said, I love Ramon, I love Derek, I love Samson, I love all those guys. But a lot of bodybuilders, they don't like to be out there. They don't. They are reclusive. They don't want to take off their shirt. They want to be in their corner doing their work, and I respect that. And Chris Bumstead is also like that, even though he is tremendously popular. He's, quite shy guy. There's a few guys that come along and they explode the sport in popularity. And I said, Urs Kalecinski. And you had not announced that you were going to move to Open. But I said, if Urs wins the Classic, with his personality, he's a very outgoing guy, he can explode the sport. Now you're moving to the Open, which, now it expands even more. Why have you taken this different approach? Your lines at expos are the biggest. You're not scared to take off your shirt. You're not scared to be outgoing. Why have you taken this strategy? Seems like you've benefited, but you have no fear to express yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And when I look back and all the old DVDs and stuff like that, I mean, you guys had always the European Grand Prix and all this stuff. So back in the days, or when I talked to Jay Cutler, who's another mentor for me, he had like shop openings for 40 weeks in a row from 51 weeks at a year. So back then it was normal to, if you bring your name up, you need to go and do it. And all of a sudden nowadays athletes think they get the pro card and then a big contract from a supplement company or something, but that's just not the way it works. And I always thought like, hey, bodybuilding is such an amazing sport over the whole world. Why not like meet other athletes? I mean, I met Chris in Mexico, in Kuwait. I met you guys all over the world. And of course, the people just see the interviews, but I met Bob at the bar at the hotel and we talked there for half of an hour, had some drinks. And, that's what I love as well about bodybuilding. It's same-minded people you met all over the world. And I also came to Brazil for that guest posing, Tarek. I don't know if you remember, but that was such a good time. We went to the Brazilian steakhouse. I've went to the favelas and met some people there, looked around, took my girlfriend to all these beautiful places in the world just through bodybuilding. So why should I stay at home, eat my meals and train and do nothing out of it? Everything is possible also on the road, and if you want it, you find a way. And I never had like rich parents or something. I had to like build everything by my own, so that was the only way to do,
Urs, the footage we're seeing right now of you and Markus, how long ago was this shot?
That's like 4 years ago.
Oh, that's 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow. So
it was like,
needless to say, now how much you're obviously getting ready for a competition, I would assume, with the Olympia or one of the bigger shows, and you look like you're in good shape there. How far out of it, if you can remember, that footage that we're looking at, how far out of a show are you there and how much do you weigh there?
That was like, 108 kilograms or 107. I don't know what's that in pounds, but I have now I have like 119 kgs, and that was 107, and I looked in my
Conditioning, right?
sorry.
And the conditioning is probably better than that.
Yeah, now I'm stage ready. So for
So
real,
there's a lot more muscle then.
Oh yeah. So Urs,
Yeah.
if you're fortunate enough to win one of these shows coming up and qualify for the Olympia, one, will we see you in the Olympia? And two, if you can get to the Olympia, where do you see yourself in the mix?
So I definitely gonna be there because I want you to announce me on the main stage, you know, as prejudging. That's like the biggest thing you can get, like the upgrade from like the expo stage to the big main
Right.
stage. You feel extra special with that. But to your second question, I'm not want to answer this because I'm like focused. I go one step by the other. And first of all, we gotta win the upcoming shows, and that's gonna be a question by their own because the lineup is super deep, and I want the lineup super deep. So not that somebody can say, yeah, he won like against a weak lineup or something. Bring me the best, and I want to challenge the best to see where I stay and to see what I need to improve or what I don't need to improve to get better over the next years, you know, to set my ass up with fire and push me through the next off season. That's any way it goes. That's the cool thing. I just can't win with that, you know, because I'm sure some of them are afraid to get their ass kicked by a classic guy. So I can play the mind games there, and the other way around. When I'm losing the show, I know exactly what I need to work on and what I need to improve. And Chris Cormier didn't got the first place after his first season. He moved his way up, and it takes time. But that was the best decision to bring out the classic physique division, I think, for the IFBB Pro League, because it's like a very, very good in between step for a lot of competitors, in my opinion, to not blow out their lines and become an open class competitor too soon. It's a perfect. I was on the Olympia stage with 21, so you guys saw me there. I was a baby, and that was the right amount of muscle. I grew every year and got better and better and better. So that's what I'm really thankful for, because I worked my way up there, and now I'm in the biggest league of the world and the craziest division. So that was a really, really good move, looking back now strategically as well.
Urs, your friend Christopher Bumstead, I believe his nickname is C-Bum. He is very excited. He sent you a message. He said Urs is coming. He even said something controversial. He said, if a lot of the classic guys going to the Open, all those placings would change. What do you have to say about that? Do you agree with Chris Bumstead that if guys like yourself, Ramon, Mike Sommerfeld, even if Chris came back, it would change the dynamics of open bodybuilding?
I mean, I think so, yeah, because you said, like, the names you said, they are like the pinnacle of the division. They are the best in this division. And the same thing was like with Hardy or with Derek, yeah, thank you. With Hardy and Derek coming up from the 212, the same argument you could do with Keon. In my opinion, when Keon would move up, he would be top 5 at his first Olympia. So that's counts for everything. And maybe, I mean, of course, you can't bring a Samson Dowder down to classic physique now, but when he started, I think he would be also doing a great job in classic. Of course, he built up too much muscle to come down to try this out. but it's like it's bodybuilding when you have the beautiful line, when you have like your areas which like a Ramon got his round muscles and his crazy body parts. I have the lines and the deep detailed separations and conditioning, and everybody has his own strength and weaknesses, and same is for the open class. So I think it would be super excited to see more guys coming up and trying their best at the open category.
Okay, let's create some controversy here. Bob Cirillo, are you ready?
Always, bro. You know that.
Here, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Chris, they've created a petition for Sean Ray, and now they created a petition for Bob. I want a petition for me. Do you think you and I can eventually get a petition?
I know I can.
Bob, we're going to try to get one. But here's the deal, Bob. Chris Bumstead, at full potential, is he top 10 at the Olympia?
Top 10?
Yes.
Hell
At
yeah.
full potential, he's top 3. Let me put that in perspective. And what he said, I'd like to expound on. Chris is 100% correct. If hypothetically, all those guys mentioned, and there's a few others that could easily join that crew, went into the open, not only would they change the landscape, but they would change the landscape of the Olympia itself, because the Olympia is all about the best physiques in the world, and that's head to toe, top to bottom, round to round. Okay, it's an overall consensus of who has the best physique. That's what it is. Who would suffer out of that is the freaks. And we actually did an episode about this on the VOB some months back. That if the freaks take over, it changes the landscape. Well, it can go in the reverse also. And who would suffer is the guys like Nick and Rubio and those type of guys who are essentially freaks of the sport with so much muscle. A Markus Ruhl back in the day, those type of physiques, they're the ones that would actually suffer, because what you're comparing is like kind. Okay, Samson and Hadi and Derek and Fitzwater, Andrew Jack, these type of guys, Beirut, hopefully he can get there. Those physiques are all a certain type, but then they would be considered freaks. If you threw an Urs in there, if you threw a Mike Sommerfeld in there, if you threw a Chris Bumstead in there, it does change the landscape. And what it becomes is a consensus of those type of physiques. They all match up and they all compare much better. Much like when Chris was up there, you had Chris and Flex Wheeler and Sean Ray and those type of, they were all a certain type of physique. And it was very difficult for a guy like a Branch Warren or those type of physiques to get in there, because they were like the odd man out.
Yeah, I think it's the shape and the cuts would carry the physiques, and I think that would do a great shot.
That would be so cool.
Be a great shot in the arm for the open class and how people perceive it.
For me, just speaking as a spectator and bodybuilding fan, that would be so cool. Imagine back then the Lila Brada next to, like, it's a totally different picture. And it's really, of course, I love the freaks as well, but not every show a freak can win, and the other way around. So that would be so cool to see lineups with that different physiques and then different athletes in this.
Will it be like a throwback to the 90s look or what?
Hell yeah. That'd
be the 90s look.
If Urs Kalecinski wins either Italy or Germany, and he goes to the Mr. Olympia, and he's in the top 10, let's suppose he places 5th or 6th, 7th, 4th. If he goes to the Olympia and he is in the top 10, this is going to create a massive wave of top classic physique competitors who are going to flock to the Open. And I think one of them is going to be Chris Bumstead, who I know Chris Bumstead. And Chris, you were there in Prague. I don't care what he says. He did not like losing in Prague, correct?
No, hell no. Hell no. He'd be lying if he ever said anything.
He'll be lying if he says he enjoyed finishing his career with a loss.
It was electric, and it was, I mean, I still get goosebumps thinking about it sometimes, because it was just crazy work. I mean, were you there, Urs?
Hell yeah.
That was crazy.
Chris and I always talking about it. I mean,
doing cartwheels in the damn audience. It was crazy.
I mean,
Well,
Chris
first of
is
all, let's put things in context here. I wasn't there, but I clearly saw the videos and the pics. I
You gotta
didn't
be there
have
because he was
Fitzwater.
nuts.
I didn't have Fitzwater beating Chris. I had Chris winning the show, number one. Two, to answer your question, Tarek, if Urs does well, let's just say he goes and he wins Italy, wins Germany, goes on to Olympia, places in the top 10, which he could easily do. Would that cause a mass exodus of guys into the Open? The answer is no. And I'll tell you why. Not everybody has the ability to do what Urs is doing right now. Not everybody has the kind of physique that you can slap on 40 pounds and it's a good thing. Most people slap on 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and it's all in the midsection, and it's not a pretty picture. It actually ruins their physique more. We've seen that happen more over the years than what you're going to see with Urs. Would there be an influx of talent? I think Urs would blaze that trail and open that door for a few people that I think could go into the Open and do fairly well. But you got to have the size, you got to have the structure, and you got to have the ability to hang with the big boys. And Urs has all three of those boxes checked.
I go back to you. If Urs has the ability to go in the Open, you predicted that years ago. Chris Bumstead demonstrated a great physique in Prague. Who doesn't? Are you saying that Ramon Dino, Mike Sommerfeld, Mike the Bull, Wesley Vissers, who are the guys that you think should not move to the Open?
Well, Wesley Vissers, I've also been on record of saying he should move to the Open. He would do much better by not trying to get himself down to try to make weight also, where I think his physique might be better, more filled out. But listen, a guy like Breon, who I respect very much and great, I don't think he can move to the Open. He can go to the 212 perhaps, maybe do okay there. We don't know. But again, there are guys up there. I'm not so sure. I don't think Ramon Dino could go to the Open. Tremendous physique, but he doesn't have the width that Urs has. He doesn't have, his arms are huge, but the bigger Ramon gets, the bigger his arms get, and it puts his physique out of proportion. I don't think he would have the width and the other parts in terms of thickness to compete. Exactly, Chris, the width. Again, Urs has those attributes. You have to have the base in order to build that kind of muscle on. So some guys could do it, but I don't think as many as everybody thinks.
Cool.
And it's so cool. I don't know if Chris remembers in Kuwait, we posed down there in the basement at Oxygen Gym.
Yeah.
And we did also the bodybuilding poses, and we found out like every fucking, sorry to say that like this, pose who's not in classic like looks the best on me. The front lat spread, side tricep. And finally I got them also to do it. That's super cool.
Man.
So now I'm curious. If you were to pick two of your best posers as an open bodybuilder, what are we going to see your two best poses?
Front lat spread, ab and thigh. 100%.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Chris Bumstead always said, I wish you guys could introduce front lat spread to the class. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I predict if Urs Kalecinski wins any of the shows coming up and goes to the Mr. Olympia, he's not only going to break the internet, he's going to take it away from Nick Walker. Nick Walker, after Pittsburgh, he became the most trending bodybuilder in the internet. Urs Kalecinski is going to take that title from him and becomes the most popular bodybuilder online. I also believe, and Bob and I disagree, but it's okay. I disagree with Bob. A few years ago, I did not think Urs was going to move to the Open. I was wrong. Bob was right. I'm sure he loves that, right, Chris? But Bob was right. Urs Kalecinski has now moved to the Open. It is a great time in bodybuilding, and I want to commend the IFBB Pro League because it creates different categories where people can really experiment a whole spectrum of items on the menu. We've had Angelica Teixeira, who won the Olympia twice. She started in figure. We had Chris Bumstead, who was an open bodybuilder, went to classic, and then finished his career in open. And now we're going to see one of the biggest superstars in the IFBB Pro League, Urs Kalecinski, move from classic to the open. I'm going to leave the link of the show in Italy with the pay-per-view here on this live. I'm also going to leave the link for the show. If you win in Italy, you still do Germany, correct?
Hell yeah.
Hey,
Hell yeah.
I think Dennis
doing
would
that
kill
show
you.
in Germany, it's gonna be hell and high water.
Germany,
You're not gonna
I
be able
don't
to go
know.
into the building because they're
I
not
don't
gonna
know
let
if
you
the
leave.
theater is gonna stay like this because German fans are wild.
When is the show in Germany again?
It's a week later on
Okay,
the
so
14th.
I'm going to leave the link for both shows and both pay-per-views so you guys can click on it and watch it. Urs, I've always said you're a superstar. And obviously, your resume on stage is impeccable. You're one of the greatest classic physique competitors of all times. We've had Bumstead, we had Brian, you, Ramon. But I think your change to the open can be a revolution. You have the personality, you have the lines, and you have the charisma to make bodybuilding even bigger. And I think a few competitors have done that. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jay Cutler, Chris Bumstead. And I think you can propel the sport to a higher place. I commend you for that. I want to thank my co-hosts, Chris Cormier, for joining us, Bob Ciccarillo for joining us. And I'll give you, Urs, the final word. To the millions and millions of fans, what do you want to tell your fans? I've had here fans from Mexico, fans from Brazil that absolutely love you. What's your word to all of them?
Honestly, you said it right. That's like the thing I want to do. I look at my trophies here in my office, and you know, it's nice to win them, but it's such an egoistic goal because besides me and my girlfriend, nobody sees them. And with moves like I'm doing right now, you have such an impact of a whole generation, you know. And I'm the pioneer who's moving from classic to open now, and we don't know what happens, but from the bottom of my heart, I guess it's the right thing, not only for me, also for the whole bodybuilding industry. And when I see bodybuilding growing, that makes me happy because it's such a good sport. And I just saw like over the past years how the movement changed in Germany dramatically. I got contracts from the US, but I said no, I stay here in Germany. And now it's like soccer, fighting, and then bodybuilding. And that's what makes me super proud. And I think we can give like bodybuilding a whole different branding and a whole bigger community overall worldwide. I mean, it's gonna be insane, and I can't wait for the next years. And I thank everybody who's watching and supporting us, Olympia TV, the Mr. Olympia, the Pro League, and you guys out there.
Well, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. Urs Kalecinski will make his debut in open bodybuilding in Italy, and then he'll shock the world and bring all the German fans to one theater and explode on stage 1 week later. My name is Tarek El-Guindi with the Mr. Olympia, Bob Ciccarillo, Chris Cormier, and the superstar Urs Kalecinski. We'll see you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen,